Welcome back to episode 158 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here with Troy. Happy Sunday, Troy. What's going on?
Not a whole lot. Happy Sunday to you, Tonka. We ended our regular season 22-2-1. So I think that might be pretty good. We got the number one seed in our section. So now section tournament starts Friday.
Now it's just don't blow it season for Minnetonka girls hockey.
You lose and you are out.
When was the last time Minnetonka won a state championship for girls?
2000, I believe 13. They were a three-peat. And I think it was 2011, 12, 13 is what I'm thinking off the top of my head. I might be wrong though.
How many times have you finished second?
So
recently,
since we've been there this is our fifth season at Minnetonka, second once, third once, I think a consolation win in there, a consolation who knows who won because it was pandemic year and they never played that game. So we won our first game, lost the second game, then like everyone done. We don't want y'all getting sick. And then I believe so we've made state every year, I think. And then we lost a consolation, or we lost a third place game, I think, once too.
Nothing beats state high school hockey, state tournament for high school hockey in Minnesota for boys or girls. Boys is, of course, massive. One of the biggest high school tournaments in the world.
Yeah.
So fun time of year. We kind of broke the fourth wall. We said happy Sunday because, of course, we're recording on Sunday. But yeah, that's how that goes. All right. Well, anything else going on this weekend, or should we just get started with the show?
No, get started. I got nothing else going on that's exciting. It's usually just the usual stuff. So.
Yeah, a lot of youth hockey this weekend mixed in there too. Of course, that season will be winding down soon as well. But one reminder before we do get started that the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a Patreon podcast, which means we rely on support of listeners like yourself to help us cover our show expenses, produce more and hopefully better hockey card content, and help us fund initiatives even in a small way to grow the hockey card hobby. Very easy to support us. You can do it through Patreon. We have out of $1.99 support level tier. It's $5 a month. You also get access to our Discord server, and you can join our daily conversation with the crew we have there, which is just a great group of people. To support us, you can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and click on the Become a Patron link, or you can go to the Patreon website directly, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. There's a link in our show description, in the podcast app, or YouTube as well, and then in our Instagram and TikTok profiles. All right, man, you ready with the game plan? Should we roll?
All right. On today's show, we begin with the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 58. Then it's off to Who's Hot in the Struggle Bus. We then look at hobby news. And next is a segment on the current hockey card market, comparing it versus the pre-pandemic hockey card market. So fun stuff there. We then finish the show with the trio of new product releases, the Gong Show mailbag, and personal pickups. All right, Josh, we are on episode 158. Previously, we looked at the greatest NHL player that wore the number that matched our episode number. We ran through all the numbers, so we are now looking at the almost greatest NHL player to wear each number from the runners up in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article. The almost greatest NHL player to wear number 58 per the nominees in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article, and selected by me, is this guy, Josh, David Savard. I did know who David Savard was. I've definitely seen him.
Is he related to the many other Savards that have played NHL hockey?
I didn't read anything that said he did, but I'll be honest, I didn't go that hog wild on in-depth research. You'll see why in a bit, but okay. Yeah, we're getting those. We've talked about this. We're getting those numbers that it's getting a little dicey, and I think someone had a good suggestion in our Discord. Was it Discord or messaged us about kind of a thought about going forward, maybe when we're done with this round of numbers, and I want to say it was something around. Oh, I can't remember what it was. I'll find it. I'll find the message eventually. But it was a really good idea. Okay, Josh. He's a defenseman born in Saint, and here comes my French. I don't know how to say this. I tried to look up videos. I tried to find any pronunciation, and I couldn't find it. So it's Saint, and then the city, or the rest of it is Hyacinthe. I want to say
Hyacinth.
That's what I want to say. Quebec. So we'll say that. Saint Hyacinthe, Quebec. French speakers tell me if I'm wrong, please. All right. Savard was selected 94th overall in the 2009 entry draft by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Savard has played in 762 regular season NHL games over a current 13-season NHL career. Played his first 9.5 seasons with the Columbus Blue Jackets. He was traded to Tampa Bay on April 10th of 2021 and played a whopping total of 14 games with the Lightning, regular season games, that is. He is currently in his third season with the Montreal Canadiens. So, Josh, I kind of mentioned he played 14 games with Tampa Bay. Well, guess what? He's a Stanley Cup winner. He won the Cup with Tampa Bay. So he played 14 regular season games after he got traded. Then he goes to the playoffs, and then he wins this Cup. And I found a nice picture of him. There he is, holding up that cup for a little bit of work. I like that.
Got quite the beard game going.
He does have quite the beard game going. For his regular season stat line, 51 goals, 163 assists for 214 points. He's made the playoffs in 6 of his 13 NHL seasons, compiling 1 goal, 15 assists for 16 points in 57 NHL playoff games played. Best season of his NHL career from a point standpoint was his 2014-15 season, where he had 11 goals, 25 assists for 36 points and 82 games played with the Columbus Blue Jackets. So, Josh, our boy Savard, reliable defenseman, strong defensive skills, obviously not an offensive powerhouse, as we kind of went through, but plays a solid defensive role. Savard signed with Montreal on July 28th, 2021, as Montreal was in the midst of dealing with the Shea Weber being placed on long-term injured reserve kerfuffle. Not really kerfuffle, he's just injured. So had to put him on LTIR. And the thought being they could bring in Savard. He could help compensate a little for the loss of Weber. He's definitely not going to replace Shea Weber, but they brought him in. He's been okay. The start did not go very well in Montreal, as he was criticized for bleeding goals while he was on the ice, turnovers, and lack of any offense. So we know he's not an offensive juggernaut. But I was reading an article in the Montreal Gazette. They were just going after him for zero offense, nothing, not contributing at all. And things have righted a little bit. Definitely, they've righted a lot, I would say. Savard, he actually had a hand injury this year where I think he broke it. He blocked like a Tage Thompson shot, and he was out for 22 games with a fractured hand. And it was and when he went down, I found an article that said Montreal will not be able to replace what Savard does: his physical presence, his defensive conscience, and his total disregard for his own well-being when blocking shots. That's the kind of player I want on my team. But he's a stalwart defenseman. He's kind of a shutdown guy. I think things have turned from that kind of brutal start with Montreal. So he's definitely a good player, still playing lots of minutes. I think he's eating up like 20. I say it next, but like 20 and a half minutes a night. So definitely.
It's kind of a good lesson to even younger hockey players that not everyone can be Connor McDavid.
Nope.
And there's a number of ways to have a very long NHL career, and doing the dirty work, the little things that, being a grinder, that the stuff that's really important to the team game is a way to stick around.
Yep. Definitely. Hard work, blocking shots is a huge key. All right. So like we said, he's still playing in the NHL. It's with the Montreal Canadiens. This season, he has 4 goals, 7 assists for 11 points in 27 games played. As I mentioned previously, he did miss 22 games this season with a hand injury. Currently, he's on the second defensive pairing with Jaden Struble. And like I previously mentioned also, he's averaging 20 and a half minutes a night. So still getting a good amount of playing time with Montreal. Josh, this is the saddest, fun, interesting facts I've ever had. I couldn't find anything. So I did find a couple things. Obviously, nicknames. I always like my nicknames. Savvy makes sense, but it is what it is. And Big Play Dave.
I thought he has like no goals ever.
Maybe he shut someone down, punched them, checked them. Who knows? And then for second fun fact, I had to dig deep for this one. Savard has stated that his idol is Patrick Waugh. He stated, obviously being a Habs fan growing up, they were pretty big. Patrick Waugh was huge, and when I was a young kid, I had a poster of him in my bedroom. After he retired, I was always a Montreal fan, so it was great. I wish I played goalie. I think it would be awesome. After I retire, I'll get my goalie equipment. So there you go. I put it in here. He wants to be a goalie. Everyone wants to be a goalie. He's gonna buy his equipment after he retires and play goalie.
Maybe you should hit you up and you can teach him about the Royal Road and all the other kind of things you teach your goalies. While you're talking, I did do some cursory research. I don't think he's related to either Denny or Serge Savard. Maybe in Quebec, like Savard is a more common name.
Well, yeah. What paranoids me about these guys is it looks like straight up. It says like it looks like Savard. I always think with these French guys, I'm just totally mispronouncing it, and someone will write it and be like it's Savard or something.
It's totally in our head now, Troy.
Yes,
we have to acknowledge it.
I am a ridiculous person when it comes to this stuff. Okay, his rookie card, Josh. If you're watching on YouTube, it's on the screen. 2011 Upper Deck number 211, Young Guns. Definitely, I cannot recognize this guy without a beard. It's crazy to see him as a young buck in his first season. PSA 10 pop of this card is 10. GemRate, Josh, of a whopping 91%. So someone do the math. Out of the 11 that were submitted.
It means 11 have to be submitted.
Out of the 11 that were submitted, 10 have gemmed. So congratulations. Last sale I could find was on January 19th of 2023 via eBay and verified in Terapeak for $34.99 US. You can find raw copies on eBay if you want to go that route. They will run you anywhere from 99 cents to $5.
Big spender. I don't think we talk about 2011 Young Guns very often because
I don't remember this design a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, oh, the design is like, oh yeah, we don't see that all the time. So must not have been a great year for rookies. We're going to move on to week 17, Troy, of Who's Hot in the Struggle Bus, where we look at players that are lighting up the NHL, maybe driving up their hobby markets. We'll see about that. Then we also pick a couple guys who have their seat reserved on the Struggle Bus. But like we always do, we'll cover our picks for Who's Hot first. And I'm going to start with a guy that I don't know if we've featured too much on our show, which is kind of a shame because he's a really good player. Adam Fox, Troy. In his last 10 games played, the 25-year-old Fox has put up 4 goals, 8 assists for 12 points. For being such a good player, too, I think not only have we not talked about him, but he flies under the hobby radar a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll kind of dig into that in a second, see if it's justified or not.
Yep.
Just 25 years old, plays in one of the biggest NHL markets, and is almost a point-per-game defenseman. So you would think, geez, he should have a hobby market. And if you look at points by a defenseman over the past 5 years, I don't know if this will surprise you, Adam Fox is currently 5th on that list. So in the last 5 years, he has 44 goals, 228 assists for 272 points. Ahead of him are only Victor Hedman with 284 points, Roman Josi, 298 points, Quinn Hughes, 300 points, and Cale Makar, 304 points. And then, Trey, so since I was looking at defensive stats over the past 5 years, I was curious about who scored the most goals. Fox is not a huge goal scorer, but I got a little gong show game show for you here, a little mini edition.
Oh,
okay. Can you name 3 of the 5 defensemen with the most goals in the past 5 years?
3 of the 5. Let's go. Well, I can try. Can I cheat and use your list that you just read off? I bet one of those guys is on there. I'll say Cale. Cale Makar's got to be one.
Okay.
Or he's got to be on the list. I would say Makar. Let's go Erik Karlsson because he scored a bunch. I think the last couple of years.
You're 2 for 2.
2 for 2. All right. How about Kucherov? No, I'm just kidding. He would be on there if he was a defenseman.
Touché, but no.
Well, Yossi's got to be on there because we talked about him so many times. When we first started our show, Josi was always brought up for defenseman on points.
I think you got it. Yeah. So here's the most goals in the past 5 years by defensemen. Number 1, Cale Makar.
Hamilton? Wow.
77. Number 2, Roman Josi, 75. Dougie Hamilton, 3rd with 60.
Okay.
Victor Hedman. Victor Hedman's a guy, it's just like on nobody's radar.
I know.
4th most points and 4th most goals, right? 58, and then Eric Carlson with 56.
Okay, good thing you didn't ask me the actual numbers. I'd have been so far off. I'd have been like, oh.
That would have been unfair. I don't know. Maybe it's a lack of goal scoring that would prevent Fox from having a bigger hobby market. Or he needs to win a couple Norris trophies to start making some, like we're seeing with Quinn Hughes being a very legitimate Norris. But I think Fox has been up there for a few years. When you look at like how many cards are sold of Adam Fox cards that sold per month. So he was 61st in our rankings last month for most cards sold by each player in the secondary markets with 447 cards sold. As a point in comparison, Makar led all active defensemen with 1,137 cards sold. So he's about a third of the sales of Makar. Now, the top sale ever I could find, Troy, of an Adam Fox card that was paid for, which let's hold on to that for a second. It was the 2019-20 Young Guns High Gloss BGS 9.5 that sold for $2,938 on May of 2023.
Here comes the picture. There you go.
Yeah. So I'm gonna rant about comps again. Sorry if you're sick of it, but I have to. I wanted to find the top sale of an Adam Fox card. So I go to Card Ladder, which is very easy to sort, and you can see the top sales ever for a player. But now, as we've been trained, when they're eBay sales, you got to go to Terapeak and make sure that they're paid for. So went and found the top sale, searched for it. Was it paid for? No. Okay, I'll go to the number 2 sale. Paid for? The number 3 sale, that's got to be paid for. Nope. Number 4, not a chance. Right? So the card that we just referenced was that High Gloss BGS 9.5 is to what 95% of the hobby sees is the 5th highest sale ever.
Yeah.
It just drives me nuts how eBay treats their sales reporting because it creates such a false perception of the hobby market for people. And I say this all the time, every time I talk about this. This is not a unique experience. This is every day when you dig into data. And so the hobby is constantly overpaying for cards based on comps that are not real, that never happened. And I don't care about a completed listing is not a sale is not a sale until it's paid for.
Yeah.
We've had people say, well, it's still a sale. No, it's not.
No.
There's no definition of a sale where money doesn't change hands. Right.
No. And this is, you kind of mentioned, this is not a Card Ladder issue. This is any platform that pulls from eBay, because eBay makes it such a pain in the rear end for them to get actual sales data from Terapeak. And we do know that we did see a message that eBay has made it easier to get sales history, we think is something that kind of happened. So that's good from that standpoint. But again, does that just mean now we're going to get more unpaid cards than we did before? But yeah, this is totally on eBay to fix this.
I'm glad you mentioned that. We're showing Card Ladder here.
Yeah.
Because it's the system we use most often. But the exact same data you'd find on 130 Point, on Market Movers, on eBay sales history, because that's where it comes from. The fact that eBay has 2 different sales reports is mind-boggling in the first place. But, okay, rant over. Just remember, huge percentage of high-end sales go unpaid. I guess rant not over. If you only ever take away one thing from this show.
Yep. That's it.
I would hope that it's this, because this will save you a lot of money. In the long run. Is that if you're gonna buy a card based on a comp, and that comp is an eBay comp, you have to go to Terapeak and make sure it's paid for. There is a really good chance it wasn't. And maybe the next higher sale is $500, and that extra 30 seconds could save you $500, where you can point out to the seller that the comp they're using is not real. So, okay, now rant over. Well, Troy, Adam Fox is a 2019 Young Guns, PSA 10, top 1,711, 59% GemRate, last sold for $70 on January 27th. Down 59% in the past 2 weeks. There was a $170 sale on January 20th, kind of probably an anomaly in that or skews data, but it is down 19% overall in the past 3 months as well. So Adam Fox, pretty good last 10 games. You got the next one.
I do got the next one, so I'm gonna put them on YouTube for for our YouTube people. But this is a guy I know. I don't think we've ever even mentioned his name on our show, Ivan Barbashev. But he deserves it. He is playing, I guess I'll call it super hot right now. He's got a super hot seat on. Well, we don't have, what do we say? Who's hot tub is what we're going with for where all these
too
guys.
Hot tub?
The too hot tub where these guys all congregate. So he's in the hot tub, I guess.
He wasn't really on my radar, Troy, until the Stanley Cup Finals last year, where they were going on and on and on about how important he was to the team.
This guy's kind of a machine. So over the past 2 weeks, Barbashev has 4 goals, 7 assists for 11 points in 6 games played. Nice little 1.83 points per game over that streak. Anyone would take that. So Barbashev is a 28-year-old forward from Moscow, Russia. Plays for the Vegas Golden Knights, as you can see in the picture. He is in his 8th NHL season. But Josh, he already has 2 cups to his name. It's crazy that we have these superstars that go for 20-some years and can barely scratch a cup or even get there. This guy's been in the league. He's in his 8th season. So 2 out of his first 7, he's got a cup. Love that stuff.
Well, the thing that I'm blown away with right now, Troy, is he's 28. He's in his 8th NHL season. That means he started in the NHL at age 20 and he's Russian. I didn't think that was legal.
Yeah, didn't think that was possible. He, if I remember right now, I'm going to have to go off my memory. Yeah, I want to say that he flew over and actually came over a little earlier and played in, I thought I read he might have played in the Quebec Major Junior League.
Really?
Before. I don't know if he went to the KHL. I apologize if I'm getting that totally wrong. And it's funny, I've looked up a lot of Russian players for this show, so I might be getting my Russian players mixed up. But the reason I love that he made the Who's Hot list, because this is a guy, he's a great player. He's not the offensive superstar juggernaut that we mention all the time on our show. But I think this kind of guy really fits well into our segment of Who's Hot, because he's truly performing above his usual point per game numbers. So this year, Barbashev has 13 goals, 17 assists for 30 points in 50 games played. For his career, he has 97 goals, 127 assists for 224 points in 483 games played. So for his career, he's a 0.46 points per game player. This year, it's like 0.6. But during this streak, it's 1.83. So you definitely get hot tub spot for the Who's Hot tub. His career high points in a season was 60 in his 21-22 season with St. Louis. Currently behind that pace this season. But with this little hot streak, if it continues for, another week or 2, he could be right back in the mix for eclipsing his career high in points.
Can we just say, too, that St. Louis has let some really good players go?
It's
Petrangelo, right?
Yeah, it's the curse, man. It's just whoever you let go, like the Wild. Minnesota, every time we let someone go, it feels like they're in the All-Star game the next year or a couple of years.
Totally.
You really remember those guys. So Barbashev, 2017 Young Guns, PSA 10 pop is 30, GemRate of 45%. Last sale on January 20th of 2024 via eBay and verified in Terapeak was $74.18 US. There was one sale in December of 2023 for $65 US. So I guess you can call that a little bump, but when these sales are so low, there's not a lot each month. It's kind of hard to make any generalizations about trends, but it's $74.18 US was the last sale.
Pop 30?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, Troy. We're on to player 3 and Who's Hot. Very exciting.
Nice.
For us Minnesota Wild homers. Had to go with the North Stars themed retros. The only way I roll, Troy.
Yep, those are sweet.
But the third guy in Who's Hot this week is our very own, the Wild's only alone superstar, Thrill to Thrill.
Yep.
Dollar Bill Kirill, y'all. Kirill Kaprizov. Where's our button bar for a standing ovation?
I have failed so miserably on that thing. I literally put a note in my calendar. Of course, it came up as the reminder when I think I was at either my son's game or a Tonka game, and I'm like, oh, just dismiss, and then I don't even think about it because it's like
I have to come over to your house and like take your
finger
and like make you press the keys like the buy button or what?
I don't know.
This is like a mental block right now.
It is. It's like now I'm just doing it more and more just to make myself angry, I think. I don't know.
You need a button bar therapist to help you work this out.
Button bar therapist. Well, so first it was talking about myself in the third person. Now I need button bar. I think I'm a mess. What?
Well, we're 25 minutes into the show and you haven't mentioned yourself in the third person. So
how many insane conditions can I make up for myself in
Wait, was last episode that was really late, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, at the end you couldn't even talk English. You were just like
I know. I was like hanging on by we're too old to be recording at 1 a.m. on a weeknight. That was pretty brutal. Back to our guy though, Krill the Thrill. In his last 10 games, Troy, he has 7 goals, 7 assists for 14 points. I'll take that. Mm-hmm. On the season, that brings up to 19 goals, 26 assists for 45 points in 42 games played. Decent numbers, right, for the year, but not superstar production and definitely not what our Wild need. The story here with Kaprizov and going back to last spring, about a month before the playoffs, has been injuries. Mm-hmm. There hasn't been anything massive like an ACL tear. It's just a kind that caused him to miss a couple weeks. And then more importantly, I think, though, then not look like himself or play like his normal game for about a month and a half after. It's sort of been that like one after another thing going on. Even this year, he's missed 7 games, which isn't horrible. But for much of the year, he's been on the ice. He's looked kind of hurt. And again, not like himself. So again, going back to last spring, his leg was smashed by Logan Stanley, which kind of started this whole run. And it's just been one thing after another ever since. Latest injury, though, got a couple broken ribs from a cross-check by the Jets' Brendan Dillon. So first, 2 things there. Number one, how hard do you have to be cross-checked to break your ribs?
To break your ribs, yeah. Especially, the NHL guys, their shoulder pads, they usually have protection all the way down to like your gut, like, and they can kind of tuck them in. Some guys tuck them into their breezers, but you really got to rack someone. If it was from behind, maybe I could see it on the side. Sometimes the protection isn't there, but a lot of it is now. But yeah, that's a hard cross-check.
And then why are the Jets so mean to our superstar?
The Jets just do not like the Wild. Wild don't like the Jets. Like we said 100 times, you go to a Jets game or a Minnesota Wild Jets game in Minnesota, there'll be more Jets fans because they travel very well. It's a good rivalry, but yeah, stop injuring our guys, man.
We're trying to kill our superstar. Come on, knock it off, Jets. It's not nice. Although some people, I think, assume at times that Krill the Thrill is ancient because he played so long in the like that's like going back to the whole Ivan Barbashev thing. The whole like modus operandi for a Russian player is to get drafted, then torture the team's fan base for 4 years, stay in the KHL, then finally come over to the NHL.
Yeah,
which is what Kaprizov was in the 2015 draft. But despite that, though, Troy is still just 26 and hopefully has many good years ahead of him for a favorite team. He's played 245 career games, has 133 goals, 146 assists for 279 points. So he's averaged 0.54 goals per game and 1.14 points per game. In the past 2 seasons, he's scored 47 goals and 40 goals respectively with 19 goals and 33 games left. He's got a lot of work to do to get there, but hopefully he can get back. I would love to see him get 40 3 years in a row. What's been your thoughts on Kaprizov over the past or this year? And is it kind of the injury thing? Is that the biggest thing to you, or do you think there's something else going on?
Yeah, to me, it's the injury thing. I think it's just nagging stuff too. It's stuff that you get healed, but then it's just still going to linger a little bit. It's like a guy that really needs a good month off. Maybe this All-Star break thing will kind of help a little bit with that. But I just want to make sure he keeps that 0.5 goals per game and 1.1 plus points per game streak going, because that's our superstar level, right? That's when we get if he can maintain that, then we know he's probably producing pretty well for the team.
He should be his level of talent, like a 0.65 or something like that goals per game guy.
Yeah.
This last year has definitely hurt that a little bit. So Troy, your favorite part, Krill Kaprizov is a 2021 Young Guns PSA 10 has a pop button bar drum roll. Oh, yeah. we already discussed that. There you go. 4,882.
Oh baby.
Very, very close to 5K.
Yeah.
I sold for 133 US on February 2nd.
Yikes.
What did he buy it for?
700.
Yeah.
I will never get that back.
725.
Or it's like 700 to 725. I will never get that money back unless he wins 4 MVPs, a couple cups. That money is all gone.
And adopts Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of census research, Troy.
Okay.
And what I learned is about 3/4 of all incorporated towns in the United States have a population of less than 5,000. So basically, 3/4 of all towns in the U.S., we could give them the entire town a Kaprizov Young Guns PSA 10. There's that many of them.
Nice.
Kind of interesting, huh? 66% GemRate too, which is nice.
Yeah.
Maybe not for you. So you paid like over 700.
Yep.
It is down about 3% the past 2 weeks, but Troy, it is up 6% in the past month.
Don't call it
So if you had to guess what decade you'll break even,
never. I don't think this card will ever break even. Yeah. Unless they have a mass burning of Kaprizov PSA 10s someday, but then the pop count gets down to like 500. But no, there will never be a chance this card gets back to 700.
It's much more likely it's on the road to 0 than it will ever get to 700. But it's sort of your badge of honor now.
Yep.
So
I wear it with pride. Just to let everyone know, hey, everyone screws up.
It happens. All right, that's who's hot for week 17. We had Adam Fox, Ivan Barbashev, and Kirill Kaprizov. But look what just pulled up, Troy. It's a struggle bus. The doors are open, and we're ready to see who's on it this week. We're going to let you go first. Who's going to be riding the struggle bus?
Well, I guess it's a Kirill show because we got another Kirill. But this time, Josh, we have Kirill Marchenko. And if you see on YouTube the picture, this is him finding out he was on the struggle bus. It was really cool how we had a camera there to take a picture, but he is not happy about it. So again, another Kirill. Since January 15th, Josh, the 23-year-old Russian. Oh, geez, I'm an idiot. I just saw that. Okay, people on YouTube, now the picture is on the screen.
I get an apple there, right? That was an assist.
You get an assist because you threw it up on the screen. So sorry, the audio people have to listen to our production fails. But if you're looking on YouTube. So let me start this again. Since January 15th, 23-year-old Russian kind of hit a rough patch, Josh. During that streak, Marchenko has scored 1 goal, 0 assists for 1 point in 7 games.
Which is a Halfkovsky.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. The Halfkovsky. On the season, Marchenko has 15 goals, 10 assists for 25 points in 48 games played. So he is in currently his second season, and he's already equaled his point total from his rookie campaign, where he had 21 goals, which Josh was a Columbus Blue Jackets rookie record for goals, and 4 assists for 25 points. So our prototypical puck hog, 21 goals, 4 assists for 25 points. Now, Marchenko has actually been pretty exciting for the Blue Jackets from a goal scoring perspective. Already this season, he has scored the fastest natural hat trick in Blue Jackets history. And in the same sequence, scored the fastest 2 goals in franchise history. It's a little exciting there. He's definitely a goal scorer. And the more you look into this, it's kind of interesting because is it just a little blip on the radar? It's a little concerning considering Marchenko actually started this season super hot. From the start of the season to December 19th, he had 21 points in 31 games played, which would put him on pace for 55 points and kind of double his previous season high. However, things have cooled down. And where this gets really intriguing is if you look at Marchenko's stats from December 20th through today, he only has 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points in 17 games played.
Ooh.
Which equates to 19 points over 82 games played. So again, when I first noticed that a struggle bus material, it was over a 2-week span, and it was 1 goal, or it was the Halfkovsky, 1 goal, no assists in 7 games. Then I started looking back even further, and boy, that's a little concerning. I'd be a little worried. Again, hopefully it's just a blip. He's still young. He's 23-year-old, but 4 points in 17 games is not good.
It's that sophomore slump we were talking about.
Yep. I mean, the good thing is he's passed or he's tied his point total from the previous season. So hopefully he can keep going a little. But yeah, that's one thing I would definitely watch if you're a Marchenko guy, is just what goes on the next week or two. See if he can break out of that. Okay, Josh, Marchenko is a 2022 Young Guns. You're watching on YouTube, it's up on the screen. Current PSA 10 pop is 62. The gem rate of 54%. I could find 3 sales in January ranging from $46 US to $67 US. And look at this card starting in like October of this year. It literally bounces all over the place from $45 US to $70 US. It just stays in that range and it bounces up and down. And maybe he scored a goal that night and someone buys it for 70, and then he goes 2 games and someone buys it for 45. I don't know. But it's pretty amazing how it just bounces in this band for the season.
All right, Kirill Marchenko. So I just noticed something.
What's up?
We have 5 total players in Who's Hot in the Struggle Bus. We're going to reveal the second rider of the bus in a second. But 4 of the 5 are Russian this week.
Ooh, a
Both
lot
are
of
going
Russians.
bad.
A lot of Russians.
And I'll admit, I took the softball for Struggle Bus because this one is been talked a lot about.
Yeah.
Pretty obvious.
That's good, though.
It's been a
Needs
rough
to be
go
brought
late.
up.
Yeah, for Igor Shesterkin, Troy.
Yeah.
In his last 10 games, he is 4-5-1 with a 3.25 goals against and a .863 save percentage. Now, your goalie coach, is that good?
That's not good, especially in the NHL. You can't win with that.
On the season now, he's started 32 games, 19-12-1 with a 2.86 goals against and a .899 save percentage. So Shesterkin is in his 5th year and really 4th full season. And by a good amount, Troy, this is the worst season of his career. 28 years old, from Moscow, Russia, right? Our 4 to 5 Russians and Who's Hot in the Struggle Bus this week. Played 3 seasons in the KHL before coming to the NHL, right? The typical Russian plan there.
Yep.
Was pretty good in the KHL. We had a couple of All-Star games and won the Gagarin Cup in 2017, which is their version of the Stanley Cup.
Is that named after the? Is that?
It's named after a cosmonaut.
Yeah, I thought it was like Yuri. There we go.
Yeah, Yuri Gagarin.
Right. Cool.
I wonder if they call it like gold and it's silver, just like
triple gold club.
Shesterkin split time between the Rangers and the AHL when he came over in 2019, but has since been Rangers' primary goalie, been one of the really best in the league since he came to the NHL. Won the 2022 Vezina Trophy after posting a 36-13-3 record, 2.07 goals against, and .935 save percentage. That was a monster year. Definitely deserved it. So when you look at what's happened to him this year, it just seems like he's in a funk. There's really, if you want to learn more, there's a great profile from a couple days ago from The Athletic. They went in really deep into the analytics that you would geek out on, Troy, and kind of explain everything that way. It's way too in the weeds, probably for our show. But there was a quote in there that I just loved. And they're talking about the fact, he made the All-Star game. I think he was a replacement because Panarin is having a kid. And they asked him what he's going to be thinking about this week as an All-Star, because mainly on reputation, right? He made it, not for how he's played this year. Here's what Shesterkin said. I will look in the mirror a few times and say, what the bleep are you doing here? At least he's got a good sense of humor about it. So he's been searching for answers, even going back to the KHL times. He has flown his goalie coach from Russia.
Oh, wow.
To New York to work with them. Like I said, you can look at all the advanced metrics in the Athletic piece if you have a subscription. But one glaring issue that they point out is that his high glove area, he's letting in a ton of goals. I think 32 goals and 90 shots or something like that.
So they're fine. The shooters are finding it. They're looking at the analytics like Vasilevsky. What's it? High blocker. He has trouble with, and now we got Shesterkin high glove.
Well, that's what I was going to say is no matter how good you are, if they can find that one exploitable area, these guys are so good that they will hammer it until you figure it out, I guess.
Yep.
Shesterkin is a 2019 Young Guns PSA 10 Pop 427, 40% GemRate. Now remember, this is an SP Authentic. It was an update card in SP Authentic, which is basically where they put players that didn't make it into Series 1 or 2 before Extended Series existed. I was saying, too, it made me really think about, and I want to dig into this later. This is kind of a tangent, but part of my problem with SP Authentic is, man, they've really watered it down. It used to have Young Guns acetates. It used to have Young Guns updates. And we talk a lot about how there's not that like second chase.
Yep.
Now they've really beefed up Extended Series by kind of pillaging those cards from it, but that's a whole nother thing. So this card last sold for 186 US on January 20th, down about 7% in the past month, down about 38% in the past 3 months. So if you're still a Shesterkin guy or gal and you think this is a blip in the radar type thing and he's just having a rough patch, probably the cheapest you'll see is Young Gun PSA 10. And I think too, we talk about Young Guns that are reasonably investable versus Young Guns that are not. We've contended a lot that Jack Hughes does not have an investable Young Guns or Kaprizov, because the pops are way too high and the gem rates are way too high. A card like this, because it was an SP Authentic update, you assume the print run wasn't quite as high, and at 427, to me, that's a more comfortable sort of situation to invest in. I remember when we started our show, I feel like this was like a $500 card, wasn't it?
I feel like that. I remember we brought this card up a couple times way early in our show.
All right, that's the struggle bus. Kirill Marchenko and Igor Shesterkin this week. Going to make a quick mention for Gong Show partner sponsor Slab Sharks. Of course, we're grateful to them for their support. The current Slab Sharks weekly eBay auction is live. Head to slabsharks.com for a link to the auction. You can check out the amazing cards available this week and place your bids. Like I always do, I spent some time yesterday, so on Saturday, looking through their auction and found a number of amazing cards to highlight. So here's a couple of the bangers that I found, Troy. First of all, this could be the year of McKinnon. There's a 2015-16 the Cup, Nathan McKinnon limited logos patch auto out of 50. The more I think about it, I think if I had to like rank my top 5 favorite cards, limited logos might be one of them. This is just an amazing card, in my opinion. And one thing we talk about like Blackhawks patches being awesome. You tend to see a lot of Avalanche patches that have tons of breaks and tons of color in them. It's a pretty cool patch.
Yes.
Next card that stood out to me is a 2020-21 UD Clear Cut Connor McDavid Exquisite Rookie Tribute Auto out of 25. Now, a lot of times I don't know how I feel about Rookie Tribute, but this one just looks so nice to me that if I was going to make an exception for one, I think this would be it. I just really like the kind of the acetate feel on this older design. Then Troy, I think you and I both agree. This is one of the better looking hockey cards, maybe ever.
This is awesome.
I feel like this card is so nicely designed, it should be submitted for an award. And what I'm talking about is a 2019-20 UD Stature Wayne Gretzky autographs. It's a blue out of 5. It's in a BGS 910 holder. If you're listening, go look it up. The card is just amazing. Go to Slab Sharks, look it up. I think Troy might be in on this one, so
we'll see.
But there's another one too. I think there's the out of 10 is in the auction as well.
Wow.
Something like that. Next one is a guy who's awesome, and we don't talk about his cards very often, but a 2020-21 Exquisite Collection Joe Sakic, another tribute patch auto out of 10. It is 3 colors. Is a very like a tiny sliver of silver in the upper right.
Oh yeah,
where the R is. What I really appreciate about this card too is Sakic is another one of these athletes that has a very nice signature. Really interesting, kind of intricate. I guess I hadn't noticed it before. And then the last card is a card I really like. It's a 2001-02 Upper Deck Premier Pavel Datsyuk Super Rookie out of 250 BGS 10 Pristine. So it's like every week they just have the most amazing cards. So what do you think about that Gretzky? Does it get you in the feels, Troy, or what?
Oh yeah, that Gretzky is fantastic. I love the look of this card. It is so nice. I would, if I want it though, I'd crack it. I don't like the holder.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing though is that it tells you it's in reasonably good condition.
Yeah.
Because you never know what these stats are, especially the surface. So a 9 is a really high grade, I would think, for that card.
Oh, for sure. And this is one where if I win it, it's staying. I'm probably never reselling.
That auto is nutty nice too.
Yeah.
Love it. Nutty nice. There's a new word. Okay, if you're a Canadian hockey cards collector and want to move some of your cards for cash, we definitely recommend checking out Slab Sharks for their eBay consignment services. They make it hard, or they make it hard. They work hard. They don't make it hard. They make it easy to sell your cards, and they're very popular weekly auctions. They do all the work, Troy. They take the pictures. They list your cards. That can get mind-numbing. So it's nice to have them do it for you. Answer buyer questions. Good questions and dumb ones alike. They answer them all. They hunt down payment, which is always nerve-wracking. So it's nice to have somebody do that. Then they ship to Canada and the US, and I hate shipping internationally. It's one of my least favorite things to do. But most importantly, though, they handle any post-sale issues. So it's quite a deal. Make sure you check out slabsharks.com for complete consignment information, including payout rates. Remember, through June, 98% payout rate on all Bedard cards. And start consigning your cards with Slab Sharks today. Happy news! I always say it excited. It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing of the show.
I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Did I miss something?
Okay. We're gonna do this again.
All right.
So I say it in like a weird, creepy, too excited way. And then there's like a 2-second pause and you go, happy news. All right. Take 2. Hockey Cards Gongshow, happy news, take 2. Happy news.
Hobby news.
Perfect.
There we go.
I find so much joy in the little things in life, Troy.
A lot of inside the podcast stuff going on this show. Like we're leaving that in. Right? We're leaving all that in. Gotta leave that in.
That's the first time you've never done it. So it's kind of
okay, this is now we're getting in the weeds because I was sitting here staring at this picture of Brock Faber going, boy, he looks young.
He is young.
So
well, there's the teaser, Troy.
All right,
Brock Faber. It's kind of a wild show. We have our guy Kirill. We have Brock Faber named the NHL Rookie of the Month. Can you believe it?
Yep.
The 21-year-old rookie for our Minnesota Wild, former Minnesota Golden Gopher, was named the NHL Rookie of the Month for January 2024. Last month, Troy, he scored 2 goals, added 11 assists for 13 points in 14 games played. Faber edged out another defenseman, Simon Nemec of the Devils. Nemec, I don't know. Simon.
Yeah.
Hopefully one of those it was right. Or any combination. Well, Nemec had 8 points in 12 games played. Logan Cooley, then another Golden Gopher, also had 7 points in 13 games played. I think finished third in whatever the voting or whatever it is. Now, Faber, Troy, was the 45th overall pick in the 2020 NHL entry draft, of course, product of the University of Minnesota. Leads all rookies on the season in assists with 25. Also leads all rookies average time on ice, 24 minutes, 51 seconds. And leads all rookies with 99 block shots in 49 games played. Does the little things too, right?
Yep.
He's now second in points by rookie on the season with 29, just 4 points behind the injured Connor Bedard. And in an absolutely loaded rookie class, right? We have Bedard, Fantilli, Luke Hughes, Leo Carlson, Logan Cooley, Matthew Nyes, a couple of young goalie studs in Dustin Wolf and Devin Levi. Is it actually possible, Troy? Could it happen that Brock Faber might win the Calder Trophy?
Depends when Bedard comes back.
Do you think that I have a hard time believing it's going to happen? That's maybe the Minnesota fatalist in me a little bit.
Well, I don't know who votes. I can't remember who votes on Rookie of the Year Calder stuff, but I gotta believe the fix is in some way somehow for Bedard. But he has to come back now. If he comes back and gets injured again, then good possibility Faber keeps it up. He might take home the Calder.
I checked the Vegas odds. So Faber is currently second odds-on favorite to win the Calder. Bedard is the favorite at minus 180.
Okay.
Faber's at plus 450. Luke Hughes plus 600. Marco Rossi next at plus 1,200, and then Adam Fantilli plus 1,400. Now, Brock Faber is a 2023-24 Young Guns, PSA 10, top 47, 34% GemRate. That's over 188 February 3rd, up about 25% in the past 2 weeks.
Yep.
Maybe a little Brock Faber run coming here.
Brock Faber run. Maybe, well, like we said, that pop count probably contributes a lot to this price, but that GemRate definitely helps.
Yeah, I like that GemRate. It's the double-edged sword of GemRates, right?
Yep.
Not fun when you're opening a box and you pull a Brock Faber with a janked up edge.
Yep.
But then when you're buying a PSA 10 and you don't want it to buy it for $700 and then be worth $133 someday, that 34% GemRate definitely helps. Speaking of grading and GemRate, GemRate.com published their January grading recap. Looks like January was a pretty good month, Troy, for all the grading card companies. Looking at total cards graded of all types, so it includes sports cards and TCG et al. PSA graded an amazing 1.22 million cards, a 22% year-over-year increase. It's crazy. CGC, of course, on the back of Pokemon and other TCG, pretty huge growth, 184,000 total cards, 40% year-over-year increase. Now, I thought this is kind of good news, especially for SGC fans. They graded 157,000 total cards last month. That's their highest ever in a single month.
Wow.
94% year-over-year increase. And even Beckett grew, Troy. 1%. 58,000 total cards graded. I would love to talk to them. I'm really curious if they have a plan.
Yeah.
They just seem to be sliding into obscurity at this point. They're a third of the size of SGC in cards graded per month.
That's nuts.
Eesh, not good. Now, when you drill down into just sports cards, it looks even a little bit worse for Beckett.
Yeah.
29,000 cards graded compared to 141,000 for SGC and 660,000 for PSA. Beckett is down 5% year over year in sports cards graded. SGC is up 87% year over year.
Yeah.
And now the other thing too that's kind of crazy is you look at the 29,000 cards graded by Beckett. They're basically 4.4% of the size of PSA. Just peanuts is what they're grading. Drilling down further, looking at the category breakdown for January 2024. PSA graded the most hockey cards, as you would imagine, 37,800 graded, followed by SGC, which is 2,900. Beckett did have 2,000 hockey cards graded, so doing a little bit better with hockey. And CGC even got into a bit of the action with 1,300 hockey cards.
Yeah, what's going on? Oh, I wonder if that's their reporting issues they have.
Maybe.
I bet that's what's going on there, the 579. But
so if you add up the four big companies, that's 44,000 total hockey cards graded last month. About 6.7% of all sports cards graded. Sometimes hockey hobby feels pretty small, doesn't it?
It does. Once you see it on here, you realize how small it is. Like when you're just in the weeds of it, it's like, oh, this is the only thing around. And then when you look at these other things, like the reports of population sizes, you're like, oh, yeah, it is pretty. It's a low man.
I'm kind of going back to the beginning of our conversation on this too, but do you ever think like when you see that PSA pumping 1 million slabs into the market each month?
Junk slab era.
Yeah, I mean, like how much longer is that sustainable?
Yeah,
right?
Agree.
You have to buy, I mean, that's a lot of cards. Holy cow. All right, last thing we'll look at is the top 10 most graded sports cards. We'll go with PSA because they grade the most. And we'll see if there's any hockey cards that were in there last month. Well, we do have one kind of. Once again, Troy, the 2023 Topps Now NHL sticker, not a card. Connor Bedard, number 1, cracks the top 10. I think that's the second month in a row.
Okay.
Coming in at number 8. This sticker has been graded a lot.
Yeah.
I really think that for a few months, once Series 2 comes out, that the Bedard Young Guns could be the single most card graded.
So is this 2,100? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see how at the top of the picture there it has the.
Oh, there's the 0. Okay, I see it. I was like trying to figure out. Okay, and then what? Did someone find a bunch of Ken Griffey Jr. cards, or why is this up here? Like, this seems weird to have that. Maybe that's been on there before, but
Oh, it does all time first, and then January.
oh, that's okay. Never mind. Sorry, I'm a bonehead. I didn't read the chart.
Yeah, but
like any good.
Okay, not
analyst.
a baseball card show, but the 89 Upper Deck Griffey Jr. has been graded 106,000 times. Holy cow!
And what's the Yager, the highest graded, or is that the highest PSA?
I think it's like 10,000. I think 10,000.
10,000.
There's no way a hockey card ever gets 100,000 like that.
Oh man, that Bedard Young Guns.
That's where I think like you get sort of the whole junk wax era perception, because there's probably at least 300,000 of them printed, probably.
Well,
at least maybe 500,000.
I'm guessing maybe more than that.
Mm-hmm. All right, Troy, that's your January 2024 grading recap. So what have we learned? Tell the hobby.
We learned hockey is a small fish in a big pond. We've learned Beckett is still struggling behind the other big three. And well, CGC always confuddles me because of how big they are in Pokemon. But yeah, it's really interesting to see the slide of Beckett and what's going on, and what have they had any big announcements since kind of the kerfuffles with the label, or the label being remade, and then some other stuff that they happened and had to pull back on. But
one might say they've wisely had no announcements.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing. That's probably the best thing.
It is sad. I hope they figure something out, because it would be a better hobby if they were competitive.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, next story is, I think, huge news. Well, second part is. First part, I don't know about. So the NHL made a couple big announcements regarding best on best tournaments this past weekend. First, Troy, the rumored 4-team best on best tournament is going to happen. It's going to take place in season next year in 2025. They're calling it the Four Nations Face-Off Tournament. The tournament will feature players for teams from Canada, Finland, Sweden, and the United States. It's going to be held in February of 2025, and games will be played in one to be named U.S. city and one to be named Canadian city. Now, check this out. This is like the part that I had to wrap my head around for a little bit last night when I was looking into this. I'm just going to give you the direct quote from the NHL PHA article. And it just says, NHL All-Star Weekend will not be held in the 2024-25 season. So there's going to be no All-Star game next year. They're replacing it with this Four Nations face-off. That's great. It's shocking in that it's such to me, a blatant indictment that no sports league can figure out an all-star game that works. So they're just punting on the whole thing.
Yes, they're just getting rid of it. And I kind of agree with getting rid of it, because half the time, we'll get to it a little bit, but the players seem kind of disinterested at times. Even they have to throw a bunch of money at them just to get them to kind of show up or have some kind of contest where they can win some money.
Mm-hmm. Each team will have 23 players, 20 skaters, 3 goalies, and they're going to be picked by each national association. So USA Hockey will pick Team USA and so on and so forth, right? For every country.
Yeah.
They'll play 3 round robin games, and then the two teams with the most points based on the round robin will square off in the championship. So again, a lot to unpack here. No All-Star game. I agree. The All-Star game is, I have very little interest. I always think of All-Star games more as like kid things than adults, because it's more of I think, appeals to the sentiment of what a kid would like.
Yeah.
But it's a bold move, just literally punting on it. Don't you think?
I kind of agree. I think it's something that's needed, though. I think they want to show the best of the best in a competitive way, not the skills way. We're all having fun here. It's fun time. You've seen the NFL Pro Bowl as a joke. Like, that thing's not even relevant. I don't think any All-Star game is really relevant. Baseball tried to make it with the winner gets to host the World Series, was whatever league won it, but I don't even know if they do that anymore. But I actually don't mind this one bit. I think it's fun. Now you're going to get into the next piece, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it feels a little bit hollow having only 4 countries represented. There's amazing players from Germany, Russia, Czechia, Slovakia, right? Tons of other great countries, and it feels like that they're rushing it a little bit.
I think the problem is, well, Russia is the big one that's not included, I think. And my guess is, I don't know if it has to do with all the stuff that's going on in Russia, or if it comes down to, I'm trying to look up the amount of Russian players in the NHL, and I'm showing 41. But does that seem low? I mean, that seems low. So that's hard if you're going to try to create a competitive team with only 41 selections.
I think they tend to be really good, though. Like, you don't come over unless you're a really good player. And I this is not a political show. We don't want to get political. There's part of me, though, that I understand excluding Russia because what the stance of their government, but at some point it's like, you ban players from ever being able to play in international competition. It's a really sticky wicket, as they call it, you know?
And I think you got checks are missing. I mean, and then at some point, can you combine a couple? That probably gets into a whole mess that you want to deal with. But maybe they're just saying, okay, we start with these 4, see how it goes, and then we'll decide if we want to expand it going further.
Well, think of the top players in the league right now. No Kucherov, no Pasternak, no Panarin. Our guy Kaprizov, not in it. Just tons of really great players that won't get to play. So I think I read too before when they were in the planning stages that because they were trying to pull this off so fast that they couldn't do more than 4 teams, and they plan to add teams. And then it kind of gets into the next part of it.
Well, here, I was just going to say, I just looked up I found the actual numbers. So Russia, 58 current players. After that, you start running into probably problems of just having enough players to choose from. NHL players like Germany, we're like, oh, Draisaitl. There's only 7 NHL players from Germany in the league right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, and then do you let their like amateurs play in it too, or is it just an NHL thing?
Now
you get into that whole.
What does that mean? Yeah.
Okay, I get that. Let's move on though to I think the bigger announcement and the more exciting one to me. The NHL also announced that NHL players are going to return to the Olympic Games, Troy, for both 2026 and 2030.
I couldn't find your picture, so I put this one in instead.
Okay. Showing Sweden some love. Hey, we got a lot of people in Sweden that listen and watch, so happy to do that. I didn't realize this, but NHL players have not played in the Olympic Games since 2014.
I know it's been a while.
Only the last 2 Olympics, but 10 years now. So there's been no gold medal opportunities, Troy, for Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes, or any of the other younger NHL stars. I think it's so important for the game to grow and to showcase, especially in the league, its best talent on the international stage. That I'm very happy about this move. Are you?
Oh yeah, 100%. I will have, after we get through the Olympics, I'm gonna have another thought on all this too.
Okay, can't wait. We could have soon, Troy, depending on how these next 2 Olympics go, some more triple gold members to annoy the crap out of me. At some point, I'm just going to paint the Stanley Cup gold.
Yeah, gold.
Or force them to change their name. One of the 2. And I guess selfishly, this is perfect timing for us Team USA fans, right? As the rise of USA hockey should be at its apex in 2026. And if we get good participation, I'm sure we'll be favored, and then we'll subsequently blow it.
There you go.
Our teams always do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's your thoughts?
I was just thinking, I mean, it's good that they've announced all this stuff that's happening. So I'm assuming NHLPA is bought in on this, and they're on board too. But boy, what happens when McDavid goes down or any of these superstars goes down with a significant injury? Say they miss the rest of their NHL season. I think that's where the conundrum comes in now. I get it. You have to have these things. That's always been a risk. These players know the risk. I guess the player can say, I'm not playing if that's what they're really worried about. I hope it never happens, but that's the one thing in the back of my head. The owners have to just be panicking when these games are going on. Just cringing that nothing happens. So that'll be an interesting side.
It's a really great point. And my answer will kind of bleed into the All-Star stuff we'll talk about in a second. I think you do two things. I think you offer a big incentive, kind of like they do with the All-Star game and the skills competition. And then you offer some sort of provide some sort of Lloyd's of London type insurance policy for the player and even the team to make everybody whole if something bad does happen. So we'll move on to the All-Star game since we're kind of talking about that. So this past weekend was the NHL All-Star game. I was pretty busy with my daughter's hockey. And like I just said, I'm going to admit, I'm not super interested in All-Star stuff. But did you tune in at all, Troy?
I did. I thought I put a note in here, but maybe I didn't. I saw a little bit of it. I just saw the Kucherov looking like he was so disinterested that this thing was happening. There was a passing competition he was in and a stick handling one, and the crowd started booing him because he looked like he could. He just put casually skating around, basically just flicking the puck at the passing target. It's like he had zero interest in this thing.
He was the heel.
Yeah, he was definitely the heel.
Well, I can definitely see it, putting myself in the mind of a player. Now that they're doing this kind of inexplicable 2-week hiatus, that's a lot of
some teams are playing.
There's
games like tonight, I think.
Oh, really?
So some teams are playing. It's just I don't get how they determined who plays when.
Well, I said this last week. Because there's no NFL this week, they should be playing games constantly right now. Yeah. That's just me. But I could see wanting to go on a 2-week Caribbean trip or something like that at this point and being a little disinterested. But if you're going to be there, you should participate. So they did the whole 4-team thing. Well, actually, I want to start with the skill competition. So where I give the big thumbs up and very happy is it sounds like the skills competition went great. Mm-hmm. That the $1 million prize got guys pretty fired up. There was people really working real hard. Of course, Connor McDavid won. Shocking, right? Mm-hmm. You think the other guys were like, really? Of all the people that could use $1 million, do you think it's McDavid? I don't know. Well, and going to the injury thing too, isn't one of the biggest risks of injury the fastest skater?
Well, I'm sure.
Where you lose an edge and you go into the boards.
Wipe out and hit those boards.
So he ended up, I think, finishing with 25 points. You got 5 points if you won an event. Makar finished second with 20 points. But the $1 million prize, like I said, got them interested. I think was a great move. It beat whatever the disaster last year's beach thing was. And yeah. Now the All-Star game. This is where they had the 4-team deal. I think the NBA has kind of done stuff like this too, where you have captains and they draft players, but they're just going to pick their friends and teammates.
Yes.
Because you have to. How do you not pick your teammate, right? That's probably not a good move. And then one of the 4 teams, you get to wear a really brightly colored Justin Bieber jersey. Austin Matthews and his team won, and he won the All-Star MVP in his hometown. Another shocker there, right? Mm-hmm. Always seems to happen. I suppose a good thing overall. But I don't like this format. It's just too gimmicky to me. I can't get invested into it. And I know that they're trying to switch it up and they're trying to find a formula that works. And it goes back to that whole conversation, of course, about how they're disinterested. They don't want to get hurt. They don't want to try. They're going through the motions out there. And it's not authentic hockey. And it doesn't come off as authentic hockey.
Yeah,
so it's not
pond hockey with your friends.
Now, in a perfect world, I would go back to conference versus conference. Give everyone on each team a winner takes all $500,000 bonus for winning. Provide insurance or something like that. Maybe create an incentive around the playoffs, or each conference gets an extra 4-day bye or something like that. Something that would be very meaningful and make these guys want to try and then have them go out there and play a real hockey game. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be awesome. And even better would go back to the old conference names. The Prince of Wales Conference and the Campbell Conference. Or the Wales
and the old
and the Campbell.
Upside down NHL logo.
I just want everything to go back to what it was.
We're sounding old right now.
Yeah.
We want to go from
old man yells at cloud, right?
That's us, but I don't know. What's your thought on the All-Star thing?
I can tell I wasn't interested in it because I don't really care that I didn't see a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thoughts.
It's just it feels so scripted too. Like, of course, Matthews is going to win the MVP.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that he shouldn't have, because that's probably what I would do too if I was the NHL and in charge of the All-Star game. But
I was going to say, I saw pictures. Upper Deck had a pretty big presence there. I saw they were running the get your card made kind of booth and get your photo, make a card, all that stuff.
I saw on Instagram somebody was open up a tin of the cup and hit a 101 there too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay, enough of the All-Star game. Let's talk the hockey market, Troy.
All right.
Do some pre-pandemic comparisons. So, as we all know, the pandemic sports card boom was pretty incredible. The amount of rapid appreciation in sports cards was staggering. It brought many, many people back to the hobby, including us, really, who had been away from years or in many cases since childhood. And if you I guess I define like the true like pandemic hobby boom would be mid 2020 through the fall of 2022, where we just had crazy sales and everything was going up all the time. So looking at the card ladder sales history, there's been 107 sports cards ever that have sold for $1 million or more. 91 of those sales were from June 2020 through the end of 2022. Like we said, just went nuts. And we all know since then, right, the market's come down. And at times it's felt pretty dramatic. And I don't know about you, Troy, but I've heard referenced a number of times, and that's sort of the catalyst for this week's research project on this. It's people saying, oh, we're getting close to their pre-pandemic market.
Yep.
Or we're already at the pre-pandemic levels. And so, and I didn't know, right? You just hear a statement like that and you kind of, oh, okay. But I never really taken the time to go and compare, well, what was card A selling for before the pandemic happened? Then what did it peak at and where's it at now? And so I thought, well, that might be kind of a fun thing to look at and see if it is actually true, if we are at pre-pandemic pricing or level of the hobby market. So before we roll through the data and our examples, Troy, what's your perception? Like, so when people say that, do you tend to agree? Do you disagree? Like, where would you think, without the benefit of seeing the actual data?
I don't see the data. I would say I probably agree just because of the amount of record sales we're seeing, but I might be a little bit, I don't know if that's my perception bias or something, but I'm guessing we are.
You were ahead of the pandemic?
No, we're at pre-pandemic. Like we're approaching pre-pandemic.
So I picked out 6 cards to look at. 3 are vintage, 3 are modern. Now, 6 cards does not a history make, right? And so this is informative, directional. I don't think anyone would want to sit through a 40-hour show where we went through 1,000 cards.
Card number, that's kind of like us sitting through and designating rookie cards. Or the cheddar.
Card number 827, a Trey Fix Wilansky. No, he didn't have pre-pandemic. We had to pick somebody before that. All right. So here's our first card. We're going to start vintage.
All right.
I'd have to go with a Gretzky rookie. I chose, part of what I chose too is I had to choose cards that have a pop high enough where there's been a number of sales all throughout the time period we're looking at. So you can't pick the PSA 10 Gretzky because there's 2 of each of them and they just don't sell often enough. But the 1989 or 79-80 OPC Wayne Gretzky PSA 9 does have a pop of 93. Here's the part though of this that and you're the data guy, but I'm not good enough with data or data analysis nor economics to understand, because the variable that changes in all this is the pop count, right? So if a card is worth X pre-pandemic and Y now, but the pop has doubled since then, how do you factor that into the analysis? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I didn't think about it, but it looks like it didn't really hurt it.
No. Yeah. So it's just something we're going to mention, and everyone's going to have to sort of apply whatever weight you think is appropriate to that as you're evaluating your own thoughts on the outcome. So it's a Pop 93. Now, the other, the other kind of pop thing is I couldn't get what I wanted to do is so for pre-pandemic like benchmark, I used the last sale of 2019 because
Okay.
really the pandemic started
Yeah.
ironically when Kobe died, and Kobe died in like January or early February 2020. Now I can only get pop data back to like 2021. So the actual pre-pandemic pop data might actually be a little bit lower, but we'll just go with the data we have. So in 2021, the PSA 9 pop count for the 7980 OPG Gretzky was 89. So it's gone up 4 since then. About what? 5%, something like that. Now, it's pre-pandemic pricing, Troy, in September 23rd, 2019, which is the last day of 2019, it sold for $26,700 US dollars. During the pandemic, it peaked on April 7th of 2021 at $271,830. So you could have bought a card and in 18 months, went from 26,000 to 271,000 in value. Holy moly. Now the last sale of this card, 1979-80 OPG Wayne Gretzky PSA 9, 134,200 on January 27th.
Yep.
So today, that Gretzky rookie or OPG rookie PSA 9 has lost 51% of its value from its pandemic high, so it's taken a hit. But then you have to balance that, Troy.
Yep.
It's still up 414%.
Yep.
From its
pre-pandemic it's nowhere
level.
Near pre-pandemic levels. It's still way above pre-pandemic.
Way above. It's kind of in the middle of the ground, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll look at one more Gretzky. 1980 OPG Wayne Gretzky PSA 10. So this is a little bit higher pop than his rookie. Pop 36. There's enough sales to look at. Pop has grown by 1 since 2021, so it's relatively flat pop count. Pre-pandemic, last sale in 2019 was October 28th. Sold for $3,550 US dollars. Now, during the pandemic, on March 26, 2021, it spiked to 60 grand. It's a huge increase.
It's crazy. It's like 18 months later. You just had to hold that card for 18 months. And the Gretzky before us, and you're going to make it bank.
Now, the last sale was $30,300 US on December 31st. So today, the 1980 Gretzky OPG PSA 10 has lost 49.5% of its value from its pandemic high, but is still up 754% from its last sale of 2019. So the first thing you notice is very similar.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Well, it's like more vintage. I was gonna say, if this keeps going, I think it's gonna be. This is pretty telling. Like, I wonder if it's gonna be a trend that we see with all these, because I haven't looked at the results.
It's good, and we get your instant reaction, right? Okay, last vintage card is had to go to Gordie Howe. His rookie 1951 Parkers PSA 6 card is a pop of 55. I don't think it's grown since the pandemic. So again, another good one to look at. A little more apples to apples. Pre-pandemic, Troy, its last sale of 2019 was on November 13th. It sold for $6,500 US dollars. Now, during the pandemic, it spiked to 27,600 US on February 19th of 2022. Big increase. Last sale, Troy, 19,200 on January 26th, so just a couple of weeks ago. So today, the 1951 Parkhurst Gordie Howe PSA 6 has lost 30% from its pandemic high, but it's still up 195% from the last sale of 2019. So again, kind of following the general trend, right, that the Gretzky cards were following. Well, those are vintage cards. So then I'm thinking, well, I wonder if modern cards are different. So I kind of picked 3 very obvious sort of classic modern examples. The first one is the 2015-16 Connor McDavid Young Guns PSA 10. So Troy, this is where the pop count's going to really factor into this. The current PSA 10 pop count is 2,795. Now, again, GemRate.com only goes back to April of 2021, so very much mid-pandemic. But on April 1st, 2021, there were 2,003 McDavid Young Gun PSA 10s. And again, now there are 2,795. So that's a 40% pop count increase starting mid-pandemic. So when we compare prices on this card, it's not you can't say it's an apples to apples comparison because that's a huge variable that's thrown in the equation, right?
Yes.
40% pop increase. Yes. But we'll look at the numbers anyways. So pre-pandemic, God, this blew my mind. On December 19th, 2019, a Connor McDavid Young Guns PSA 10 sold for $440 US.
Wow.
Now the pandemic high sale was April 6th, 2021, $3,898 US, which is almost the exact date where we knew the pop count was 2003, which is kind of fun. Then the last sale, $2,686 US on February 1st. So the 2015 Upper Deck Connor McDavid Young Gun PSA 10 has lost 31% from its pandemic high, but is still up 510% since its last sale from 2019. Then you have to figure that 40% pop increase in there as well.
Yeah, it's funny, the dichotomy between the pop increase fighting the demand and everyone getting back in and what's going on with that. But it's crazy. We're nowhere near pre-pandemic. Hobby's still up pre-pandemic from these four examples. Huge amount.
But it's also way down from, it just shows you how crazy the pandemic was too. So it's like everyone's kind of right, no matter what side of the coin you look at there. Our next card, 2005-06 SP Authentic Sidney Crosby Future Watch Auto out of $9.99 PSA 10 pop 60. So the mid-pandemic PSA 10 pop count was 50. So going back to April 2021. So the pop count's grown 20% at least. Now looking at the pre-pandemic pricing on April 22nd, 2019, which was the last sale of 2019, it sold for $2,801 US. During the pandemic, Troy, on November 30th, 2021, it hit its all-time high of $21,100 US. Last sale, $10,100 US on February 1st. So today, the 2005-06 SP Authentic Sidney Crosby Future Watch Auto out of $9.99 PSA 10 has lost 52% of its pandemic high, but is still up 261% from its last sale of 2019. It's like they're all on the same trend, pretty much, to this point. But there's one more card. Then we'll try to look at big picture stuff. Well, had to pick an OV card and went with this 2005-06 The Cup Rookie Patch Auto out of $9.99 BGS 910. Because it's got a pop 40, and there's been a number of sales, so it's a good one to look at to do a comparison. So in December of 2019, its last sale for 2019 sold for $9,700 US. Then in October 21, it hit its all-time high, an astounding $105,780 US. Holy moly, Troy.
Wow.
Now the last sale on this card was December 2nd of 2023, where it sold for a card at the grade, BGS 910. It sold for $52,460 US. So it's down 50%. All these cards are down 50% from their pandemic high.
That's crazy.
But still up 441% from its pre-pandemic value. Again, we could go on and on forever. I'm sure we would find a couple cards that are lower than pre-pandemic. And who knows what the factors there might be. But I was trying to think about, okay, so looking at these 6 examples of probably the biggest examples or bigger examples of both vintage and modern cards. Number one, again, 6 cards doesn't tell the whole story. But I what I think I do take away from this, though, is how similar the value trend is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that breeds confidence of like where the markets, like they're not all over the place. they all kind of follow that same trend. And kind of like we said, where we're about, and what that trend seems to be is while we're about half of what the pandemic highs were, we're still way, way ahead of where the market was at the end of 2019. And I think it might feel like we're at pre-pandemic values because it has lost 50% of its value in the last 18. It's like it 10x'd in 18 months, and then it lost 50% of that in the next 18 months.
Yep.
It also makes you appreciate, so, and good for these people. Some of the guys that have been collecting hockey for years, if we were buying cards like we were today in 2013, 14, 15, we'd be very wealthy people right now. And I hope we would have had the fortitude to sell them during 2022. What are your overall takeaways on this? Was this worth our time, or?
Oh, no, I think it's definitely worth our time now. Like you said before, remember, we looked at 6 examples, I think. So again, just keep that in consideration, but these are pretty big cards, pretty good ones to use. You'd have to do, if you want to do a full analysis, this would take years.
Months.
Yeah, months for sure to do this. But I think this is, again, just a good starting point, a good data point to say, hey, we're definitely down from the pandemic highs, but we are right now with these examples nowhere near pre-pandemic levels. We're still up the 50 or whatever it was percentage.
They could lose, it could lose half the value today and still be ahead of, or from where it's at today and still be ahead of the pre-pandemic. All right, let's check into new product releases, Troy. So the 2022-23 Upper Deck Clear Cut checklist is out.
Yep.
We're going to do a quick overview of the designs and kind of the checklist, see if there's any surprises there. The set is scheduled to release on February 14th, right? Which I don't know if you know is Valentine's Day.
It is.
Now, if you haven't gotten me my Valentine, this could be an idea. It'd be part of my gift, Troy. This is a very unique set because going back to COVID and the pandemic, as part of the calendar makeup and how far they got behind there, Upper Deck made I think was a pretty good decision to combine the 2021-22 and the 2022-23 releases. So there was no 2021-22 clear cut. It's all in this. It kind of says that right on the box there too. Then if you want to throw in even more wrinkles, there's also a number of update cards from 2019-20 and 2020-21. So there's basically this product covers the entirety of hockey history. Right?
Hold on.
Like every year.
I'm confused though. Okay, so it says 22-23 hockey clear cut. Are the only rookies in this thing from 21-22, or are 22-23 rookies included?
It's a dual release.
It's a dual rookie class. I think they're not doing it themselves any favor.
We'll get into it. So I'll skip ahead a bit. It's much more of a full or complete set for 2021-22.
Okay.
And a little in a much smaller set for 2022-23.
Okay.
Oh, I actually broke it down here.
I like that. You surprised yourself.
Yeah, I surprised myself with my own show prep. So there's 626 technically 2022-23 cards. There's 1,141 2021-22 cards, 89 2020-21 cards, and 8 2019-20 cards. All basically Quinn Hughes cards.
Well, I guess, I mean, if you're pulling a 1920, I guess Quinn Hughes is good, but
I would
still be disappointing to get a 1920 or a 2020-21 that wasn't like a huge card. That's always kind of sad.
I think there's a couple clunkers in the 2020-21 updates, but there's some good ones too. So grand total of 1,865 total cards in the release. I do think it was a good choice to combine them and to get caught up. I'm telling you, doing this checklist overview was the worst experience I've had preparing. It's so confusing, and to go back and forth like a million times and try to figure out, okay, what did they do for the 2021-22 class versus the 2022-23 class? It took like 7 times longer than it should have. And what little hair I have left, I probably pulled out. In general, though, as we know, right, Clear Cut is a 1-card box. It's basically a card that's encased in a 1-touch with a UD hologram sticker that seals it at the top. They're thicker cards, typically. Acetate is a big thing in Clear Cut. Very, very much so a gambling type rip, Troy.
Yep.
Kind of perfect for breaking, actually, I think.
Yeah.
So it's $90 US is like basically the pre-sale price. You can spend $90 in the box. You get a 101 Cole Caulfield rookie auto. or make bank, or an unnumbered Mason Appleton auto, and which is what I'm going to get in all my boxes, I'm sure, which is worth $2. I don't know if the math is any different on a regular box as far as ROI, but maybe it's just a perception because it's that one shot, in the box that it feels more brutal when you don't hit a good card. There are some very, very cool cards though. And I'll try not to be confusing again because you have to bounce back and forth between all these years so often. But I've tried to do my best to break it down in a very sensical way. First thing to know is that the base cards for this are designed from the base set of that year, and basically the flagship example. So the base cards for 2021-22 are going to have that year's flagship design, and then 2022-23 are going to correspond to those flagship releases. Showing an example of OV from 2022-23, it's the high gloss parallel, but I think you kind of get the concept here. Now, one thing that's interesting about Clear Cut is that when it comes to rookies, they don't use the Young Guns branding. It's the same as a base card design, but they actually put, going back to our conversation last week, they put an RC badge on the card, which I guess is, the more I think about it, is a good thing. It's a little weird at first because we're not used to seeing a card like this, but I don't know. What do you think? Would you rather have it be an acetate, because they have Young Guns Clear Cut and Young Guns acetates, it would probably make it super confusing to have a clear cut version of that card too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think this is super confusing, but I don't mind it. I would like to have it, but I think it's
something
still
different.
Yeah, I still think it's confusing.
The base set for each year includes cards for vets, legends, and rookies. Now in 2021-22, there's no base rookies for Zegras or Cider, so there's more rookie. Oh, there's no, I don't think any autos at all. They do have non-auto canvas cards for them, but there are autos for Caulfield, Byfield, Lucas Raymond, Swayman, and McTavish, right? So again, more rookie auto issues. And I don't, kind of learning that in the checklist made me wonder if this is another reason why they combined it. To not have to deal with whatever's going on with the 2021-22 rookies. In 2022-23, all the key rookies appear to be present and accounted for. By set, it will vary, though. Some are included in it, some are not. We'll see why. Now, the Legends component of the base checklist, they do include all-timers like Lemieux and Gretzky, but when you get to these key legends, almost all their cards are super short printed.
Yeah.
And so that means probably less than 10, less than 5 total. Off of the base design, there's exclusives and high gloss parallels that are numbered. So exclusives are typically out of 35 or 65, high gloss out of 10, and then there's 101s as well. So that's basically how the base works for each. Beyond the base sets, of course, then there's a huge amount of inserts, parallels, tributes. Probably one of the more popular ones, and some of my favorite cards for Clear Cut, Troy, are the UD Canvas autos. Now, the 2021-22 set is much like it's been in the past, where 2022-23 is way smaller and kind of a big departure. So we'll start with 2021-22. You got the Canvas signature cards out of 25 that include a few of the key rookies, like Caulfield is in there out of 25, but there's no Cider, Zegras, or Byfield. Then the red ink autos, which I think you pulled the Zetterberg, right, for 2020.
Yeah, last year, yeah.
Now, these are they're numbered out of the player's jersey number. So the example we're showing on YouTube is Swayman, who's number 1 in the photo. So that, of course, becomes a 101. Again, though, right, this is technically a rookie year card. And just like with the base cards, they don't use the Young Guns branding. They don't use it on canvas either. So his 2021 canvas was a Young Guns canvas. But it's just a normal canvas for Clear Cut. Same issue there. Do you still like this?
It's just too confusing. I get what they're doing, but you'd have to. This is where becoming or if you're a new collector, this can get really.
This is a very hard set to wrap your head around as a new collector because there's a lot of, and it'll even get a little bit more confusing in some areas down the road. There's also the canvas. There's gold ink 101. So, the weird thing about
you can have two 101s.
for Swayman.
Yeah,
it's strange. Now, in 2022, the UD Canvas auto sets are much smaller. There's basically just one. There's rookie debut card. Here we're showing Marco Rossi. They're out of 10, and there's only 8 players on the checklist. So Brant Clark, Jack Quinn, Slavkovsky, Kent Johnson, Boldy, Rossi, Jake Sanderson, and Shane Wright. So no Beniers or Owen Power. That's kind of a bummer if you're a fan of the 2022 rookies to not have like the Redding Gatto or stuff like that. But at least it does denote it's a rookie on it versus like the Swayman, which didn't. So I think that part of it is a improvement to you.
Yes, agree.
There's also rookie tribute autos. To me, these are the ones that can be slightly controversial at times. We talked about actually we featured one in Slab Sharks, but both set years have their own set. So in the 2021-22 set, like an example would be there's an Austin Matthews tribute from 2016-17 Ultimate Collection. So it's kind of a acetate version of that card. Another one is we've seen these a lot before, the Cup rookie tributes from 2005, the Cup. This one for Ovechkin. Now here's one that's interesting. So flipping over to the 2022-23 set, there's a Connor McDavid 2015-16 Future Watch Auto Tribute. That's of course is a super short print. But they did the same card in 2019-20 clear cut.
What?
Yeah, so you go on a card ladder.
I don't like that.
Yeah, if I had spent, well, look it up quick. Look that up in Card Ladder because I'm guessing they go for a lot of money. If I had spent whatever it costs in 2019 or hit one in a box even, or bought one a year or two later on the secondary market, I would be dismayed. Right? Because the value is going to tank.
Yeah.
On that. So.
Yeah, I'm looking.
We'll move on to. There's also some kind of retro designs. Some of these are really cool. Like one of the ones I liked is a 1999-2000 Ionics UD Authentics design that has vets, rookies, and legends. So there's a Steve Yzerman picture that's a super short print. Do you like these?
I do. I like what they're trying to go for. It's a little busy. I don't like the vertical auto.
But now that's true to 1999.
Yeah, that's fine. I get that. I mean, so that means I don't like probably the 1999 card either. But I there's parts of this card I love and parts I don't like.
There are now this is a card from the 2021-22 set, so that's what's going to get confusing too. So like you can get rookies of this card like Swayman or Lucas Raymond are probably the two biggest names on that checklist. One of the cards that I really like it's Black and Amber. It must be a UD Black set that features kind of a browned or dark acetate, but then like a gold auto. The one we're showing on YouTube is Bobby Orr. So him and Quinn Hughes are super short print. I would be very, very happy if I pulled this card.
Yeah, that just fit. This card fits Black and Amber. It's got the perfect color scheme and everything.
This is a 2021-22 class again. So in this set, you could get Quentin Byfield, Lucas Raymond are probably the biggest names there. Did you get an update on that McDavid pricing?
No, because I can't figure it out. I can't find tributes. It's
just do 2019 clear cut McDavid, and it'll come up. And sort by price because it'll be spendy.
19,000. Oh no, that's a lot. Here we go. Clear cut. Is it this one? 6,700
for Future Watch Auto?
No, that's not it.
Yeah, if you had spent
5,890 is the.
Somebody spent 5,800. If you had spent $5,890 and you saw the same card,
yeah,
I lose my mind. I don't know. That has to be a mistake, right? There's no reason why.
Yeah, I'm curious what the reason why they would do the same exact card. Yeah, I'm finding pictures of it. Yeah, it looks the same.
Oy, I caramba. There's some other cards too. We're not going to go through them all. Upper Deck on their Facebook page has a bunch of photos you can go look at too. Again, this is I felt like it's an exercise of confusion going back and forth between 2021-22 and 2022-23. But hopefully we made some sort of sense for it. Again, ultimately, kind of a gambler's rip. Pre-sales, like I already mentioned, in the U.S. at Dave and Adams are about $90. I did find pre-sales at 401 Games in Canada at 130 Canadian. So, what do you think of all this? Do you, now that you see, are you still glad that they combined the releases?
I'm fine they combined them. I think it's probably a good move on their part. I actually don't. The price 90. Would you say 90 US? I can live with that. I think it's okay. Again, it's a big gambling product, but I can live with the price. I'd like the dual rookies or the dual combined stuff for this release, so I'm actually okay with that.
I really like it for breakers because if there's 32 spots in a break, and even if they're making money, if you're paying like $4 for a chance to hit a clear cut card, that feels like a pretty decent risk to me versus paying $90 and potentially getting it huge or getting skunked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got to make a quick mention for Gongshow partner sponsor PWCC. Of course, we're very thankful for them for their support. Want to make a note that the February premiere auction begins this Thursday, so set a reminder to check out all the hockey cards that'll be in the auction. We were given a sneak peek at one of the cards, and oh boy, it's a biggie. Cannot wait to see that and others when they go up on Thursday. If you're not the auction type, also remember that PWCC has a big fixed price marketplace, over 5,300 now hockey cards available. One of the bigger hockey markets actually out there. And of course, the current PWCC weekly auction is live. You can bid on cards now at pwccmarketplace.com. Troy and I, of course, will pick out our favorite vintage of modern cards in this week's auction. We'll highlight them on Thursday's show. Mailbag time. First question, Troy, you ready?
I'm ready.
From Discord, 86 Collectibles. People have gone to the expo before. Can you give any advice to a newbie? Best place to stay? Any pre or post events that might be cool? So we've been actually finding great deals on Airbnbs. It just depends on you're comfortable staying at an Airbnb versus a hotel, but they're significantly cheaper. The only downside is you might have a 15-20 minute drive to the show, so you probably have to have a car too. But if you're more the hotel type, there's the International Center is right by the airport, and so as you can imagine, there's a million hotels in the area.
Yep.
And we've done both routes, but lately I've been staying in Airbnbs. As far as like things to do, Jeremy Lee throws an awesome get together on Thursday night at Jack Astor's, which again it's a restaurant bar. There's a whole big room that he rents. It's an amazing thing he does. It's a kind of a hockey hobby get together. Tons of people go. It's one of the best times at the show, so I definitely recommend doing that. There's also trade nights that if you have energy, sometimes we don't. After being at the show all day, those can be a lot of fun. And then just what I had for like general advice, Troy, is prepare to be overwhelmed if it's in a good way. But it's very overwhelming experience your first time at the show. Anything else you want to add to that?
I would say go back and listen to episode number 132, where we did our preview of the Fall Expo with Mikey. And we go over some tips and stuff, which will apply to the Spring Expo as well. So if you want to, I would go back to that episode and listen to that to get some more tips. But comfy shoes, all that good stuff you've heard of any convention. But we go over a lot of things in there too.
And we'll probably do another interview with Mikey again coming to spring, and we'll have lots of pre-expo type content too to look forward to. All right, Discord Braun. I was thinking when people want to purchase a high dollar graded young gun, such as like a Crosby or McDavid, would it not be better to pick up at a show? You can maybe also trade or haggle the price, and you don't pay tax or shipping. If I was to purchase off eBay, it would be around 4,000 Canadian. Then I'd have to pay tax of 5,200 Canadian. I could buy another nice card for that tax amount. Never going to say don't pay taxes when you're supposed to, but I definitely see where you're getting at, and the logic makes a lot of sense to me. I'll leave it at that. Anything else you want to?
No, I agree with the logic, and you're dead on about thinking about that. And remember too, sometimes at card shows, people they want to take all the stuff back. Obviously they will, and who knows with this Bedard, if that's the one you're going for, what the dealer's thinking, but you're definitely on the right track with how you're thinking.
Then Brown goes on to say, I think it's more of a comment than a question, but he said, I know in your last episode, the main topic was, now we forgot his questions last week. So sorry, it was 2 episodes ago. So sorry, Brown. Apologize for that. The main topic was 2023-24 Upper Deck Series 2. Should you hold, wax, buy tins, etc.? An episode before that, I think you spoke about the high selling price of the Bedard SP1. I agree with your findings and thoughts that maybe this is because it being his first NHL card in a Chicago jersey, but I also wanted to add another reason it may still be selling for so high of a price. It's no secret how many people pre-ordered this product over the past few months, and very, very high percentage of these people said they will not open it and stash it away. If this holds true, there's a very high volume of boxes or cases that won't be opened, so that will drive down the amount of Bedard Young Guns cards that will be pulled and put up for sale. I just wanted to share that this may be playing a part to why the SB1 card is still so high in demand and therefore so highly priced. It is a good thought. It makes a lot of sense. I tend to think, Troy, that both are going to be true, that there's going to be a lot of wax stashed and there's going to be a ton open. I think Upper Deck, the only logical assumption you can make is that this will be the most printed flagship series ever.
Yeah.
It would be weird if it wasn't, right? It would make no sense for them not to do that.
I was gonna say that SP1. Now, have you looked at the pricing lately? What?
We're just waiting because there's a free fall show probably coming up very soon.
Okay, so I'll say go look at it. It's fallen pretty hard, but I get his sentiment. His point his point is definitely valid for sure.
Okay, next question. Instagram Hobby Boot. What happens if you pull an art? This is a great question. What happens if you pull an Artifacts team redemption, but your team has no rookies? For example, I'm a Canes fan, and other than our ECHL goalie playing an emergency 11 minutes last week, I don't think we've had a rookie debut this year. Who would my redemption be if I pull the Canes redemption? Well, I think Hobby Boot, this is part of the reason why they wait so long for you to be able to redeem and even to announce who the players are.
Yeah.
I'm guessing in this case, they'll wait through the end of the season and see what late season call-ups or signings from college or whatever that they have from prior draft picks. And if you play a couple games, it might end up being your redemption. Or it could be your ECHL goalie if that's all they have.
Yep.
It's a good question to ask. I wonder if literally no rookies come, if they roll in the next year.
We have to write that one down and ask Upper Deck next time.
Okay, Instagram, slightly rounded. This is a Troy question. How do you see PWHL cards being introduced to the market? And do you think there will eventually be any crossover with NHL products?
It's a great question. I've been thinking about this a lot. I hope they're in the works. I don't know. I haven't seen any announcements or anything. I'm hoping Upper Deck or whoever. This can actually, the PWHL is their own entity, so they can go outside Upper Deck if they want. So they can go Fanatics or any Leaf, any of those. I'm hoping Panini. I'm hoping they're in the works talking about it. I think Upper Deck makes the most logical sense for PWHL cards. And the problem they're going to run into right now is you only have 6 teams. So I don't know if this is a more on-demand product or do you actually come out with sets, which hasn't stopped before previous sets.
It's weird that there's no branding. I'm still having a hard time.
Yeah, the branding thing, I think they were so intent on just launching this league and getting it out there and running with it that the whole we're going to get your own team jersey. Like the jerseys are all the same. They're just different colors and a different name on the front. I think they're just trying to get it out there and get going. Now, attendance has been great. Remember, this is the first season. I hope it can sustain itself. And actually, the NHL did include the PWHL in the All-Star festivities. They had a 3-on-3 game that featured PWHL players. Yeah. And so the NHL's out there. They're helping promote the league. Now, I think they could do more, but I think they're also taking this kind of, I don't know. They're helping to promote. They're giving guidance, but they're not throwing money at it yet, which is a little bit different, I think, than the NBA WNBA model. However, back again to the big question of cards. Yes, I hope they introduce them. I hope they're working on them. Yes, I think there's a way you could probably put these into NHL product, but I hope it's almost its own standalone product in a way.
Yeah. I have a PHL question for you.
Yes.
So you coach girls hockey at the highest level in the nation. If they did national rankings, what do you think the odds are your team would be number one in the nation?
I don't know. I mean, we'd probably be top 10 for sure for like high school / 14 to 18-year-olds. I guess 18U is what you would
Sure.
call it. And I think people that don't know this, Minnesota is the unique unicorn in the world of hockey. Like we have high school hockey and it's huge. Most people play high school hockey where if you're in Massachusetts, East Coast, a lot of
Club.
it's club, private hockey. There's some high school in Michigan. There's still some high schools in out east too. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's a little unique. So we're high school versus these club teams, but I would guess we're in the top 10.
Okay, a little bit beside the point. So you're at one of the biggest programs in the nation. What do you girls think of the PWHL?
I know, like, I haven't asked them specifically, but their Instagram accounts, I see that they all post stuff from the PWHL. They all post highlights.
Nice.
So they all are, working, or they're all looking at it. They know about it. I don't know if they see it as a viable career path yet, because I don't even know what the salaries are. In the past, I've talked to my players about professional women's league that was out there, and a lot of them are like, no, I'm going to go get my lawyer degree or my doctor degree and be a doctor and make way
a ton
more money.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was hoping they'd be into it. So it's good to hear. Instagram 1313. Do you think there's any differences between the Fall Expo and the Spring Expo? So we've been to 2 Fall Expos and 1 Spring Expo. We don't, it's not like we have 20 years of comparison for you. All I can say is the Fall Expo is probably slightly bigger, but there actually in the Spring Expo we went to last year, there wasn't as big of a difference as I thought there was going to be. Is that your same?
Here's the unique thing about this. I have not seen a map yet for the Spring Expo. Remember the last Fall Expo, they expanded. There was a whole nother hall they added. So I'm curious if that's added for the spring or if not. So that'll be one thing.
Good point.
But yes, I felt the spring was just, it was still in the same space as the fall. And let's throw out the new hall that they added. It felt maybe a little less busy, a little more, but it's still, a lot of it to me seemed the same.
Well, that was my kind of thought, is that it definitely is not as big as fall.
Yeah.
And the better comparison to your point is fall of, what would that be? 2022, 23 to spring of last year. And it was definitely smaller, but I was expecting it to be even smaller than it was, closer than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
The other factor you have, if you're considering this spring, is the Bedard Young Guns thing. That set will be out a month or so ahead of it, so it could be bananas because of that. But if the point of your question is if spring is better timing for me, would I be really disappointed going to spring if I couldn't go to fall? I don't think so.
Oh yeah, no, I would, either one of them I think is completely fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're missing out. I would, agree.
And then he has a second question. He says, as a non-collector of Bedard, which, does that exist? Is that legal?
Me and him, we're the only ones.
Can you still be in the hobby? Do you think attending the Spring Expo would be beneficial for someone in terms of collecting other players or things? Would vendors' prices be better because they're trying to sell so much Bedard? I've kind of followed that just general hobby theory, the sort of they zig, you zag. I don't know what price. It's impossible to predict what prices will be, but there will be tons and tons and tons and tons of non-Bedard cards and stuff at the expo. So I'm sure that you can find some really good deals to be had. You got anything to add to that?
No, I agree 100%. There's just so much stuff available, and it truly is, until you get there and see if it's your first time, you will not believe how many hockey cards there are.
Ojibwe 86. Will Makar surpass either Coffey or Bork for most points by an NHL defenseman? So, interesting question. Did a little bit of tabulating. I almost dusted off the Gongshow supercomputer, Troy.
Oh, where is that thing?
Yeah, we got to get it running again. So Makar would have to average 85 points a season, roughly for the next 15 years, to move past Ray Bork for most points ever by an NHL defenseman. Basically, he'd have to play till he's 40 and average 85 points every year. Now, I definitely think he's good enough to do that, but with these records like this, it's just as much a longevity
Yes.
record as it is a skill record. So he would, number one, he would have to have the desire to play that long. He'd have to take incredibly good care of his body and then probably get really lucky.
Yeah.
And so while I would say it's possible, it's probably unlikely. Just so much has to go. That's 15 years at 85 points a season is a long
Yep.
time.
Nope, I'm right with you. I don't think it's going to happen. But like you said, it's possible. It's just a lot of factors have to go right.
And skill is like, I think it's 50% skill, 50% longevity. That's the part I think we have a very good understanding of his skill. It's just we don't know how durable well into his late 30s, 40s he could be.
Yeah.
Great question from Instagram Perch0077. Do you think breaking has helped or hurt the hobby? I'll let you go first on this one.
All right. So I was thinking about this, and I assume it does drive up prices a little bit as breakers are added to like our demand side of the equation. They're wanting products now compared to everyone else. It's a new kind of thing that's come out. I'm not sure what the breaking market has done with the number of breakers over the past couple of years. Has the number of breakers increased, decreased? Generally, I think increased. I feel like when I go to Whatnot, I just see more people popping up like in the hockey card hobby. But that would be a whole different research topic. So I think it is overall, I think it's helped from a standpoint of getting product moved, getting people to view hockey, to see what's out there. However, I agree with you 100% on your response about what has hurt, but I'm going to let you say that because you put it down.
I think it's helped and hurt a little bit, probably more help than hurt. I think on the benefits, it makes products like the cup more accessible to collectors. Not a lot of collectors want to spend or can afford to spend $1,000 for 6 cards. But if you want to get in, they feel like you're in the action a little bit, that it's can make sense in that way to do it. Another factor that I think is it's fun. There's a community aspect to it.
Yeah.
And so it goes beyond just the cards. Now maybe it does raise the prices of boxes a little bit, so it could be a negative if you like to open your own wax. But then if you're a singles buyer, it gets cards into the singles market very fast.
Yes.
So it's a benefit for there too. But my biggest concern, and I don't think there's anyone to blame here because it's adults and their money, and you can't blame breakers, but it can get very compelling. It can get very almost addicting, and there's that gambling nature to it. And I think it gets a fair amount of people in trouble, more people than probably the hobby even wants to acknowledge.
Yep.
We've had a few people, at least, I don't want to put a number on it because I don't want to be inaccurate, that have reached out to us and kind of express that this has happened to them.
Yep.
I don't know what to do about that because I don't think casinos should be illegal or beer should be illegal.
Yeah.
Right. But the other thing too, and it's, I don't ever really see anyone acknowledge that it gets more people than we would want to admit into trouble.
Yeah.
Do you have that sense too, or is that just me?
No, I think it's been eye opening as we've done our show, and I appreciate people so much that do reach out, kind of explain their situation because it's a good data point to have. I'm never going to share names, so no one has to worry about that. But it is interesting to see what is out there and I've seen it myself where I don't think I've ever got addicted to it. But man, you sit there and if you don't kind of watch yourself, and we've had people say this too to us, they didn't realize it until they looked at their credit card and saw the actual breakdown. And I know we've had a couple people tell us Whatnot makes it kind of hard to see your like history and how much you've spent. So I can empathize with how it can just get out of hand and can get out of hand quick. But yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think it's bigger than we think. The problem's bigger than we think.
Overall, though, I think it's probably it's been a definite positive, and I really appreciate how we follow a lot of breakers. We have some that support our show, and we're very appreciative of that. And you go into their rooms, and it's they're entertainers first and foremost. It's a box of cards, a box of cards. It's just the luck of the draw, and it's how the community that they're able to create and how much fun they have. And You can tell that people that follow them love them and that people are having a great time. And it's just like, to me, like I've said before, going to the casino. I love going to the casino. I just take the money I'm willing to lose, and
Yeah.
I do it because I know it's going to be going with friends and it's going to be a great time.
Well, it's like too. It's the breakers I like are the ones that they don't even care if you spend money. If you're just in there watching and chatting, that's the kind of community you want. You don't want the one breakers like yelling at certain users, like, "Oh, I haven't seen you. Why aren't you spending money?"
Yeah.
You don't want that stuff. You want the good guys that are good guys and gals that combine all the good things about it.
Hmm.
So yeah, like you said, I do. I still will watch breaks. I still will participate every once in a while. I don't think they should be illegal one bit. It just depends on your tolerance and how you react to it.
Instagram, Teddy Z85. Why is there no hobby love for Jesper Bratt?
Jasper Blatt.
Jesper Bratt. I think it's because Teddy, he's a really good player, but he's not a great player.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. He's fun to watch. I mean, he's really fun to watch. But when you look at his stats, he's under a point per game player. He's career best in goals is 32. A lot of seasons he's like 24 goals, 27 goals, something like that. And then he's on a team with the brothers Jack and Luke Hughes. So that's
Yeah.
not a recipe for a hobbyist. He's a player I would love to have on the Wild and would be a fun PC guy if he was
Yes.
on my team. But I
That was
don't
what I
think
was.
is a like an investing kind of hobby guy.
Yeah, this is like the perfect guy you want a PC. You know you'll get his stuff reasonable. Now, if you've invested a bunch in Jesper Bratt, I feel bad, but that's kind of my thoughts too. It's just he's not on that superstar cusp.
Mm-hmm. A really good and interesting question from Sebastian Engelhardt from
Yep.
Twitter or X.
Yep.
He says David Adams sells boxes case fresh and sells them for $50 or more, sometimes more. He gave an example where I think it was, I don't remember if it was
Yep.
shoot, I can't remember what product. It was one of their more recent releases, and basically they have Hobby Box A and then they have Case Fresh Hobby Box of the same product for
Yep.
$50 more. And he's like, then I wonder where the cheaper box comes from. Are they saying they can't trust the cheaper option because it's not Case Fresh? Very weird that they do this. And here's what, Sebastian, what I think they're getting at here is when they say a box is case fresh, it means that they literally unseal a box and pull the first box out of that case. So you're paying a premium knowing that the case hit is still in the box the case that your box came from. And I to me, that's not enough of a potential benefit or distinction to pay even more of a premium for a box. I don't know how many people I've wondered looking at their site how many people actually pay that before and have no idea. It'd be a great question to ask them. But I don't see myself ever doing that. What are your thoughts, Troy?
My thoughts are exactly with you. I've never paid for a Case Fresh box. I've purchased many boxes from David Adams, never done the Case Fresh. I've hit big cards. Maybe not the cases. I don't even know what the case hits are. This is another whole hockey topic that we need to talk about is how do I find out what a case hit is and if it's if there are case hits in cards or in sets. That's a whole nother topic. But again, back to the original question. No, I don't pay the extra for Case Fresh stuff, but Josh explained it perfectly on what we believe they are doing when it's a Case Fresh box.
All right, Instagram, the Real McCards. What do you think of the All-Star format? What changes would you like to see other than Mikko Rantanen not getting snubbed? We kind of already went through this in our segment. I'm kind of leaning traditionalist. I want to see incentives. I want to see insurance and conference versus conference and a real game played. That's what I would love to see.
Here's where I put about my Kucherov rant. I put it for the answer to this question where I can tell some players definitely weren't in love with it, but yeah, I'm with you. I think there's something else they can do.
Instagram, Kevin B. Smith. We all agree that there are too many sets of Upper Deck hockey cards. Which sets would you eliminate? And are there any inserts or cards from the sets you would have like to keep and move to another product? Like an example, eliminate credentials, but move debut ticket access to flagship. So how I would answer that, Kevin, is if we need to eliminate sets, if that's the goal, which I could get behind a certain amount of sets, I'd be on board. Credentials might be one I would 86, but I like the idea of like putting like debut ticket access in ice or maybe even like SP. Well, SP Authentic has too many Ricciatos in it, but keep maybe Provisions and SP Authentic or something like that. Try to boost up sets that are kind of feel like they're missing a hit or something like that. And then maybe beyond credentials, I think there's too many SP products. Between SP, you're not going to get rid of SP Authentic, but between Game Used or SPX, like, I don't know, maybe a good option would be to get rid of SPX and put some of the best cards in SP Authentic too. Like, that would be another route you could go. But I don't know. Do you have any other ideas?
Yeah, I'm with you on what you kind of said. SP Game Use is my one. I just think there's got to be something else to do with it. What do you think about cutting just doing Series 1 and Series 2, but releasing Series 2 a lot later for flagship?
A lot of people hate extended, but I actually am really a big extended guy now.
Well, the way it's set up now too, we would miss out. You'd have Bedard not coming out until maybe May or June, right? Whenever extended comes out.
Yeah,
so that would be an issue. But I just thought about that when that question was being read.
You could make the argument, that's for sure. Last question, Facebook, Dave Preston, another good one. Why are release dates so wrong? Parker's Champions was supposed to be out in August 20. It was actually supposed to be out in June.
Yeah.
And now it's set for March 2024. If it took this long to do the laundry, my wife can appreciate that. It's a great question. I think oftentimes there's production delays.
Yeah.
And in the case of Parker's Champions, we've been given a little bit of insight. There's been some issues there with the set. And as excited as I am too about it coming out, I'm very glad that Upper Deck is waiting to release it until they're happy with it. In general, though, I do think it's odd that I don't know who it is, but it must be them. They put out these dates and they're 100% wrong.
Yeah.
And when you put out a date, it sets a customer expectation. And so when those dates aren't met, now if you're faster, then you're creating a positive customer experience. If you're consistently not hitting those dates, that's a negative customer experience. I don't understand, and maybe there's a really good reason, and it's just so I'm totally acknowledging it, but I'm just looking at the outcome versus the reasons. That if it were up to me and I was in charge, I would want to roll out with dates that I was 95% confident we can hit, and knowing that there's always going to be exceptions where I need the flexibility if for instance, if like in the case of like OPG Platinum again being really off-centered, where I could go back and reprint it and just say, sorry guys, this isn't going to come out when we said originally because we have to make it right, sort of thing.
Yeah. Do you want more general timelines? What if I said Q1 25? Would that be better?
The other thing I don't know, and I just have never had the energy to figure it out, is I wonder if how accurate Topps is.
Yeah, we actually I don't follow them, so I never look.
Yeah, we would, or Panini with football products. If they all kind of do the same thing, or this is more of an Upper Deck specific issue.
Yeah, good question.
I do think though it'd be better for the customer to be more accurate.
Yeah.
Well, Troy, huge fail on personal pickups.
Yeah, well.
These turnarounds and shows come fast, and sometimes we do lots. So yeah, neither of us have any, but we'll try to. Now you've got some cards to look at. You got that Gretzky that's hanging out.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens there.
Let's see what happens.
I got some stuff I'm working on too. That is our show, though. If you like the episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. And if you love the show, you want to support us, you want to chat with us every day on the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation. Join our $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. Link is in the show description. If you're listening to us on a podcast app or in the YouTube description, you go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and click on the Become a Patron link. You go to Patreon's website, patreon.com, and just search for Hockey Cards Gongshow, or there's a link in our Instagram and TikTok profile there too. We are on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures LLC. Have an awesome Monday. Great start to your week, and we'll see you in a few days on Thursday.